Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Chaiva Tato Jayamudirayet. Jai Gurudev. Yeah, we'll share our takeaways from chapter 13 and then we'll move on to 12.
One thing that struck me today was the talk on worshipping only Krishna and meditating upon him. And I read somewhere yesterday, or I was listening to something, in which it was said that Krishna said that it was Shiv Tattva that came into me, and therefore at that time I could give you the entire knowledge of Gita on the battlefield. Now, when we are sitting peacefully, I cannot repeat the same knowledge. So, and then somewhere else I read that it's all the same. Whether you call it Shiva or this thing, Brahma, or you call it Krishna, it's all the same. And Guruji also had somewhere mentioned that when Christianity was spread, at that time Jesus said, the way to the Lord is through me only. Is through me only. So that insistence on going through them only, it is just, actually the knowledge is what matters. Love, compassion, devotion is what they were all talking about in various religions that was spread. So whether it is Shiv Tattva or Krishna or whatever, I think it's all the same energy, whether we call it Brahma. So keeping that in mind, when we are offering on Shivratri, we are offering our prayers to Shiva. That is the way I look at it. I mean, that insistence is there only at a specific time by that person who's impounding the knowledge, is that this is the only way through me. Like, follow this knowledge. So at every different moment of time, different periods of time when they were born and they spread their religion, they insisted on being following on that one path only. Jai Guru.
Jai Gurudev. Yeah, Pratibhaya is saying it's perfect, I feel so. My thoughts are also same. Only thing is the difference between Shiva Tattva and Krishna is the fully blossomed human nervous system, we can say, on this earth. That's what, like, in fully blossomed human nervous system, what is the ultimate possibility is, that is Krishna. Otherwise, Shiva is not it has never come into form as such. You can say Shiva Tattva in the fully blossomed human form is Krishna. Manifestation. Jai Gurudev.
No, I think here we're not talking of just the form. We're going beyond the form.
Yeah.
Talking of the it's not the it's the lakshyartha. It is the implied meaning of. So we're going beyond the
Then
form.
the Shiva Tattva, then the Shiva Tattva and Krishna consciousness, all it is exactly the same, no? Just names, for the namesake we are saying Brahman and this and that,
Correct.
Satchit Anandam and everything. We're trying to, like, because we are with name and form, we are able to connect, no? Because all our whole lifetimes we have been stuck with the names and form. So trying to understand or reach through the mind is maximum this Satchidanand and then Shiva Tattva or Krishna consciousness. Or, some word we are able to connect to that ultimate. Jai Gurudev.
See, my point here is, and what I have understood so far in my pursuits, maybe as a child and before getting into this knowledge, I was just worshipping the form. But now, with this little background knowledge of Advaita, I know that what we are worshipping there is only a form. But beyond the form is the Satyam Jnanam Anantam. And for me, it is the devotion which is more important than, of course, there is an element of ritualism involved where you prepare everything. All that requires that has its own place, I think, for bodily, mental discipline. But when you pray, you're not praying to a form, you're praying to the formless behind the form. So therefore, I'm wondering still, I still haven't got that, I haven't understood that clearly, I guess, as to why there is this insistence of just one deity that I have not got yet. For me, I'm all right. I'm okay praying to anybody, as long as your prayer is sublime, as long as you're connecting to that the aspect of devotion. So maybe I'm wrong, maybe I don't know, but that is where I am right now. I suppose I have to evolve. I honestly don't know. So I'm just going to let time take its, let it mature.
Yeah. Does that mean the scattered focus or something like that? Would that mean?
I don't know. I don't know. Because for me, I'm not in a conflict right now. It is not like, I see, for me, my Ishtadaivam is Ganesha, yes, but I'm equally devoted to, when I'm listening to the Rudram, I revel in the Rudram. It does not mean I am, um, I don't know, it's not clear for me. I don't want to confuse anybody else, but for me, prayer is prayer. That is the end point. Whom you pray is not that very. Hmm, because that is
Because
where
I think,
talk of
sorry,
Sarvatma Bhava we talk of, right? Adveshta Sarvabhutanam. So if you're in that space, even Sarva Devanam, you must have that Samatva Bhavana. It's not like only Bhutanam is only human beings out there. Sarva Devanam also should be the same. I mean, you're seeing the one in the many. That is how I am looking at it. And that's how my understanding is. So for me, the question I have is why Bhagwan is talking of just, Mai Sarvani, Ananye Naiva, Vyabhicharini Bhakti. So my question, although I'm not, uh, you know, I don't know whether my bhakti can be called Vyabhicharini Bhakti because I am, including everybody else there. That I don't know.
yes, just now you said
Ramana,
you are seeing one in many, but here it is been asked us to see many in one. And I think each deity is complete in itself. It's a complete system. So, so why not just one like that? Maybe.
actually, the way I understand is if you see the Gita unfolding, it's slowly taking you ultimately to the what you call arupa or the nirguna,
The
right?
formless. Yeah.
Yeah, formless. For going there, Bhagavan is introducing us through a what you call step-by-step approach to reach there. So yes, initially maybe we are scattered praying to everyone because we don't know who will listen to our prayers. So we want to pray to everyone, hoping someone will listen to it, and then slowly take it to one. Okay, in this case, Bhagavan says Krishna, but ultimately that also he will, as we go along, we will see that he says this also is, it's beyond this. It's not just Krishna. Then it becomes Like I have heard someone say very beautifully, initially our life is all world dependent, right? We are dependent on the world. Then slowly, slowly evolving, we become God dependent. And slowly from there, we evolve and become self-dependent. So this is the progression which Bhagavan is taking us through in this 18 chapters. Ultimately, in the third Shatakam, when he talks about the Tattvam Asi, the Asi part, then we realize, oh, all this is finally going on to that one Aswarup or what, Arupa Deva or whatever. That's the self, the Brahman. That's the Advaita principle, right? So to go there, obviously from where we are today, he can't directly take us there. So he's building it up. Saying, okay, fine. This is what how I.
Exactly. All these steps are needed. Very beautifully explained, Vijay. Go ahead.
No, so this is what how I see it. But ultimately, it will realize that at some point, I think Bhagavan has also told us that what we experience in life, okay, prayer is not going to change our destiny, right? Even God doesn't have free will. God doesn't have free will to tell or give us what we are asking for. It's our karma phalam only which will come, right? That is prarabdha karma with which we have come. Ultimately, that's only going to fructify. So he cannot do anything by just praying. It's not going to change our destiny. But what will happen with prayer is, one is the antakarna shuddhi that's happening for sure. Second is the strength to face that is whatever is coming. Today, with the way we deal with certain situations, with prayer, the strength comes to handle it differently. The same situation will come. That's in our prarabdha. It cannot be changed. Even God cannot change it. This is a law set in motion, right? There is no way even God can change it. But the prayer is what will give us the strength. No matter to whom you pray, ultimately, it's just that energy and the shuddhi happening within us, which is going to help us to deal with it differently. This is how I see it. I don't know whether it makes sense to others, but that's how I see. Jai Gurudev.
So this Ananya Naiva Yogena and this Avyabhicharini Bhakti, does it mean we do not celebrate any festivals? Does it mean? What is the role of the festivals then? And Adi Shankara himself, see, he has composed so many stotras, including that which are on so many gods and deities. I
Was that
understand.
for himself or for the others?
It was for others. It was for
Mm.
Yeah,
others
he
because
was
that
an
was the need.
enlightened being already. No, he's an
Yeah.
enlightened master. It was for others, yes, but um,
Because
yeah,
There will be,
no, Brahmaraji, 99%, okay, maybe too high, whatever, is in that space, right? So he has to address them and slowly take them across. So he realized, yes, everyone is praying to Devi and to Shiva and Krishna and all. So he, yes, composed stotras and all that. At least, okay, go in that direction. Fine. Even in that, if you go really ultimate level, if you reach, you're going to reach me. If you go really deep into devotion for asking, like Bhagwan also mentioned about 4 different types of bhaktas, right?
yeah,
Artharthi, Jignasu, and Jnani. So yes, people are in that category. Fine, at least do dharmically, you do prayer and do whatever you want to do. That's better than not believing in anything and doing in whatever comes to you, adharmic way. From there, evolve, and slowly, you will, Bhagwan will take us across. So celebration, I think, Brahmaraji, celebration and all is, what should I say? It's one way. One is to get people together. That collective way of channelizing the energy is there. One of the reasons could be that, because in our in Hinduism or Sanatana Dharma, we don't have this concept of coming together and praying, right? Like in other religions they might have. So here for us, these celebrations are occasions where we all come together and have a common kind of a prayer or offering and all that. Maybe that's one way to that's why the festivals would have all begun. No? At least Ganesh Chaturthi, we know how Lokmanya Tilak started it. He wanted to have a movement where people will come together. That's how Ganesh Chaturthi started. Like that, all these may have some reasons how it came about.
So, yeah, that is something we'll need to know. That's a nice perspective. So, Upanishads and Vedanta don't have these festivals. These are only that have come later, I guess.
Yeah, I don't.
Isn't it?
Okay, I've
Yeah,
not read
Yeah,
all.
check it out.
even the temples, Gurudev was telling, Sangeeta Didi was sharing this, that these temples and the deities and the murtis have come quite later on after Jainism came into existence. Before that, Gurudev said there were just empty spaces, the temples were. Was nothing like a mosque. There was nothing inside, emptiness. So emptiness, that is the ultimate, no? So our system was also in the Vedic times, it was like that only. But then slowly, because the common man, to start with, there should be something that Satchid Anand, no? So Anand factor is the one which attracts anybody and everybody. From starting from zero to infinity, all kinds of devotees, everybody likes some input, some food to the five senses which pleases. So the murti came, and then the bells came, means for to satiate our all five senses. The prasadam came, and to beautify all the, put the best of the best jewels in the town, bring them to the deity, and then people find very, means they are pleased. Anand ka feeling aata hai na. Anand has very different shades.
So
So
I think earlier they were only praying. There were homas being conducted. No, in the Karma Kanda, they're all homas.
Panchamahabhuta.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly. So they were only praying to the five elements, fire, water,
yes.
and all that.
Then the
So
deities came just last 2000 years or something. Very late the deities came.
mm, that's interesting. Yeah. So when in doubt, thing is to stick to Shastra. That is one thing. So we follow the Shastra, we follow the Vedanta, and everything else is subjugated. That's fine. That's nice. We had a nice discussion on this, but maybe we'll get some more answers, questions answered tomorrow
Yeah.
as to the
When
role.
we when we talk about Shiv Sutras, there it is said about Ichha Shakti, Kriya Shakti, and for doing any action you require Gyan Shakti. And then the whole world was created by Shiva. I think they are all the same actually. Otherwise, why would it, in Shiv Sutras it be said all these things leading to the projection of the world through Shiva? Here it is talking through Brahma. Either you take it as the same or stay confused, one of the two.
Hari Om. My based on my own when I'm observing my in-laws, I think God has given out of compassion this conclusion that just pray to me only. As you grow old, all these rituals and all the things what we have in our mind, which is very much well structured, that we have to, when we pray to Ma, Devi Ma, then we have to be like this, we have to be like this. When we pray to Lord Shiva, Lord Ganesha, so as you grow old, it is not like when I look at my in-laws, no, sitting and doing the things becomes really very difficult when you have to pray. So maybe in Bhagavad Gita, Lord, out of compassion only, he is just trying to tell us that it is, everything is within me only, so just focus on me. That's what I believe. Jai Gurudev.
The very fact that Bhagwan himself has said that yo yom yam yam tanum bhaktim, whoever you pray to, that those results and those fruits I will give you, meant that at that point also there were different devatas, they are different manifestations of energy. Like each one, like Ganesha energy was to take away obstacles, things like that. So apparently there must have been different deities then also, not just the Panchamahabhutas, but then uh, my understanding is that he wanted single pointedness towards the goal, towards the pursuit, and not fritter away the energy into just the ritualistic aspect. I think that was what was meant there. Maybe, yeah. I think I will need some more reading up on that, a little more understanding.
And maybe contemplate on raga.
Yeah, raga, and maybe also there's a little bit of bhaya somewhere down the line,
Yes.
where if I don't do this, maybe it will not be right. So that bhaya also must be there somewhere within me, which is what is prompting me to do. And I'm just saying, okay, I'm praying. So I will have to look within. I have to introspect there. So we stopped at this yesterday, chapter 12. What is the place of the Lord in gaining moksha? When the Lord says that he is their liberator, Tesham aham samudharta, he means that he gives the knowledge that liberates. Here again, we must understand what this means. There are some people who want to be taught directly by Bhagwan, not by any mortal. This is a problem in understanding the nature of the teaching and the teacher. Ishvara's grace is nothing but providing opportunities for teaching. Once you have all the proper attitudes, you require only an opportunity to be told that you are Brahman. When you are no longer in the hands of Raga Dvesha, you have Antahkarna Shuddhi, the result of Karma Yoga. And as a result of Upasana, you have the capacity to apply yourself. Then all you require is teaching. The teaching also will be given by Bhagavan through Shruti. Once you are ready, you will have your teacher. That automatically comes next. It has to work that way. Then, when these qualifications are there, what is taught becomes real. What was previously a vague idea or a possibility, or even some insight, gains increasing clarity as one lives a life of karma yoga and upasana while pursuing knowledge. Thereby, Bhagavan says, I am their liberator from the ocean of samsara that is fraught with death. Mrityu samsara sagarat tesham aham samudharta bhavami. Through knowledge, jnana pradhanena. This is not a savior that saves you from the original sin and takes you to heaven and keeps you there. Without jnana, there cannot be any moksha. Tesham aham samudharta, misconceptions about this. Does the Lord give moksha directly? Moksha given is anitya. One commentator rightly makes the point here that Ishvara does not give liberation. Moksha cannot be handed out because it is not an object. Moreover, it is always established. Some argue that God can give anything because he is almighty. But even almighty God cannot give you a head over your shoulders. If he is sympathetic, he will take the time to make you realize that you have a head over your shoulders, but he cannot give what is already there. Similarly, moksha is already attained. If it is something that can be given, it is anitya. It was not with you before, and now you have it. If that is so, you will have to protect it because anything that is gained in time will be lost in time. If you are interested in a temporary moksha, well, you have that every day when you go to sleep. Does anyone want me to read this paragraph again? Should I read this one more time?
Yes, please, Brahmaraji.
So, does the Lord give moksha directly? One commentator rightly makes the point here that Ishvara does not give liberation. Moksha cannot be handed out because it is not an object. Moreover, it is always established. Some argue that God can give anything because he is almighty. But even Almighty God cannot give you a head over your shoulders. If he is sympathetic, he will take the time to make you realize that you have a head over your shoulders. But he cannot give what is already there. Similarly, moksha is already attained. If it is something that can be given, it is anitya. It was not there with you before, and now you have it. So if that is so, you will have to protect it because anything that is gained in time will be lost in time. So if you are interested in a temporary moksha, well, you have that every day when you go to sleep. Is moksha union with the Lord by his grace? Further, moksha is not a union of the jiva with Ishvara as a result of Ishvara's grace. Anything that gets united tends to fall apart. That is the law. This concept of union, sayujya, is baseless. There can be no unity between jiva and Ishvara because it is already accomplished. If it is unaccomplished, no power in creation can keep them together. When they are already one, you cannot say there is union with Ishvara due to his grace. Ishvara anugrahat sayujyam. What you require for that union is jnana. So if it is made, does Pratyek Atma join with Paramatma? If it is maintained that the Atma of the Jiva is Pratyek Atma and of Ishvara Paramatma, that is not so either. The I of the Jiva is Paramatma. The notion of being bound is centered on this one I. It does not belong to Anatma because that is inert, Jadatvat, Jadatvat. The body does not tell you, I am a samsari. Please take me to a Swami. It does not know anything. Deho na janati. Neither is Atma a samsari. It has no birth or death. Na jayate mriyate va kadachit. A samsari is something in between, a product of Atma, Anatma, Aviveka. If you say that by Ishvara's grace you gain knowledge, that is perfect. We do not discount Ishvara's grace, but we must be very clear about what that grace can do. Through knowledge alone is freedom. A combination of karma yoga and meditation can win Ishvara's grace to create the condition for jnana, which is moksha. The antakarana naishchalya gained by meditation and the antakarana shuddhi gained by karma yoga make one qualified for jnana. A vague jnana becomes very clear. Ishvara cannot give moksha directly because Ishvara is the swarupa of the person. He can only give jnana and he need not assume a special form to do that. Any teacher who knows this is as good as Ishvara. What Ishvara can give is an opportunity for knowing. It is the adrishta karma phala of your prayers. That gives you a situation free from obstructions and thereby you gain the jnana. By living a life of karma yoga, which is an expression of bhakti, one gathers a lot of punya, which brings the anugraha, grace of Ishvara. This is so beautiful. These two paragraphs have kind of clarified so many concepts about what grace is. No? Grace is only creating a situation for jnana to happen. That's all it does. It will not give you moksha. It will not give you liberation. Because you're already liberated. There is nothing that you need, should I say, do to get liberated. You only have to create that space and situation for that realization, that jnana to dawn. And antakarana naishchalya is brought about by meditation, and antakarana shuddhi comes about with practice of karma yoga. And this makes you qualified for jnana. And the upasana that we do, the Saguna Brahma upasana we do, would create a situation, that grace, that Ishvara Anugraha is nothing but creating the space and situation for that jnana to dawn. So a vague jnana becomes very clear with this.
Can you please explain this antakarana naishchaya?
Naishchalya, no?
Naishchalya.
Naishchalya is where your mind is not perturbed. It is steady, that steady single pointed mind.
Okay.
In I think chapter 6, this was what was talked about, where what meditation gives you. Meditation, practice of meditation gives you that a steady mind, a mind that does not waver. A still mind, basically. I think in one of the videos that Gurudev had mentioned, he had mentioned that it is only in the stillness of the mind that jnana happens, that you'll be able to experience the being.
Brahmaraji, can you please read these last paragraph once
Last
again?
two, right?
Yeah.
So if it is maintained that the Atma of the Jiva is Pratyagatma and of Ishvara Paramatma, that is not so either. So the question is, does Pratyagatma join with Paramatma? Right? So he says that is not, the Swamiji says that is not so. The I of the Jiva is Paramatma. The notion of being bound is centered on this one I. It does not belong to Anatma because that is inert, Jadatvat. The body does not tell you, I am a samsari. Please take me to a Swami. It does not know anything. Deho na janati. Neither is Atma a samsari. It has no birth or death. Na jayate mriyate va kadachit. A samsari is something in between, a product of Atma, Anatma, Aviveka. If you say that, so I will just stop here. Here, this very beautifully, Swamiji has given that distinction between the body and all those that we consider Anatma as Jadatva. It has no sentience in it. Whereas the Atma is also not a samsari because it has no birth, no death. But somewhere in between, we have become, there is this birth of the samsari, which is the Atma Anatma conjugation because of Aviveka, because of ignorance. And that is the whole Maya. So this Maya has come in and it's created this illusion of the Atma joining with the Anatma. And therefore that samsari is born. All of us here. So having parked that idea, if you say that by Ishvara's grace you gain knowledge, that is perfect. We do not discount Ishvara's grace, but we must be very clear about what that grace can do. True knowledge alone is freedom. A combination of karma yoga and meditation can win Ishvara's grace to create the condition for jnana, which is moksha. The antahkarana naischalya gained by meditation and the antahkarana shuddhi gained by karma yoga make one qualified for jnana. A vague jnana becomes very clear. Ishvara cannot give moksha directly because Ishvara is the swarupa of the person. He can only give jnana and he need not assume a special form to do that. Any teacher who knows this is as good as Ishvara. What Ishvara can give is an opportunity for knowing. It is the adrishta karma phala of your prayers. That gives you a situation free from obstructions and thereby you gain the jnana. By living a life of karma yoga, which is an expression of bhakti, one gathers a lot of punya, which brings the anugraha grace of Ishvara. I wanted to say something. Yeah. So this gives you a situation free from obstruction. So all the pratibandhakas that we have that are obstructing our vision of who we truly are, those get released. Those you get free from them with the Ishvara Anugraha. But it cannot just happen with Ishvara Anugraha. You have to do your bit by getting that Antakarana Naischalya and the Antakarana Shuddhi. So therefore, Karma Yoga, living the life of Karma Yoga, which is itself an expression of Bhakti. Because Swamiji had mentioned, you cannot be a Karma Yogi without accepting Ishvara as the Karma Phala Data. So Bhakti already is there as part of your Karma Yoga. So that is the distinction between someone who's living a life, a very ethical life, versus a person who's a karma yogi. right?
So these are the two ways to attain moksha. One is karma yoga and sannyasa.
There are committed lifestyles. They're not paths to moksha. There's only one way to moksha is through jnana.
Yeah.
But these are two committed lifestyles.
Okay.
And karma yoga does not mean only karma yoga. Along with doing your karma yoga, you're also acquiring knowledge. You're on the path of knowledge. So, and once that is done, once you've prepared yourself enough as a karma yogi, then with this Ishvara Anugraha, with the grace of the Lord of the Ishvara, that situation is created. It is like you get closer to that light switch, and that light switch, once you put it on, then there is that jnana, and that is it.
So my question was going to be to Nanaji today was, once once the ignorance has gone, that is moksha, right? And
Yeah.
that is a permanent condition.
Mm. When there is light, there is no more darkness, no?
But is there a possibility that it might become dark again?
If like we have power cuts, like I'm just joking, okay? I'm not, not literally, but like you have power cuts and all, yes, it can come and go. But this jnana, once you've got, it is permanent. That is what Bhagwan keeps saying, no? Tad dhama paramam mama yat prapya nanivartante. That once you attain that, once you reach that, there is no question of returning back.
Hmm.
But still, Maya can catch him very rarely. That is Jadabharata example, which is extremely rare, but it can happen.
No, maybe Bharata, maybe he was not completely into jnana then, no? If he had, he would not be thinking of the deer at that point.
Hmm.
He was not a realized soul still. That is why he was under the clutches of that the raga of the deer. Isn't it? It's very clear. So once you attain that, there is no return. That much faith we should have. No doubts over there. Otherwise, this is meaningless. Like are we doing this where we don't know whether once we reach that, not reach, once we realize, words actually have no meaning. And once the knowledge dawns, it dawns and it stays. It's not like how we get to deep sleep and come out of it and get back again. No. That is temporary moksha. That's what Swamiji mentioned here somewhere before. He says, if you want temporary moksha, then go to deep sleep and come out. Deep sleep you have, but that is only in the karana sharira. You are still enveloped by that ignorance. No, that ignorance, once you've removed, then there is no point of return.
But there again, somewhere, I don't know if it's who is the Mahatma, I can't remember. So he says the Maya will still continue to trouble you. It is even for wise people. Maya will trouble, but then they have realized it to such an extent that most likely they won't be caught up by Maya. Maya is still there for them also.
A wise person is different from the person who has got the moksha, right?
Jnani, wise person, Jnani.
Yeah.
He's got it, but he's still there in this samsara, right? But not caught up in the samsara. He's there dealing in the world, but he's dealing as a witness. But I can't remember who it was. Like he says that, yes, Maya troubles me, but only thing is it can't win over me. So that's the knowledge. Knowledge is what will help you to still tide over the Maya will be there. That's also Ishvara's creation only, right?
We are still in this Jagat.
No, if you take the example of Ramana Maharshi, he was an enlightened being. He was not caught up even in his body consciousness. So where is the question of Maya there for him?
No, he could go into that stage. Somebody is, this is on.
Yeah, let me just
Simi.
yeah, go ahead.
No, so he went into that state where he could disconnect himself or disconnect the mind from perceiving the pain when he was being operated upon, right? It was not like he could be just the doctor in advance told him, okay, this is the story I have heard, that he was to be operated upon. Now doctor came and for some reason or somehow he forgot to bring the anesthesia to be given. So he said, we'll have to defer it to a later date. He said, why? What's the problem? He said, no, I forgot to get anesthesia. So he says, no problem. So he then went into a state where it was that no mind state. Then he couldn't, then the pain was not there for him. Those moments when that was happening. And once that was over, he came back. So that's how I have heard it. I don't know how accurate the information is, but he went into that no mind state. But obviously, at other times when he's dealing with the world, constructing the ashram, doing whatever there, he was operating from like all of us, but with a witness kind of consciousness, right? He's not getting caught up into it.
See, that is all the Lakshanas of the Sthita Prajna, no?
Correct.
That chapter 2 mentions, where Bhagwan is very nicely described. That was Arjuna's doubt. How does this person of realization be? How does he talk? How does he live, eat, whatever? So he does, but he is, I don't know whether it's right to say he's still under the effect of Maya.
No, that is there. No, like even I've heard Swami Dayananda Saraswati also during his final days, there was a lot of pain. But okay, he didn't let it become a suffering, right? Pain was there. He used to tell his very close devotees, the pain was there, unbearable pain. But those are souls who have to go through that, which is a part of prarabdha probably, right? Even if you have realized your prarabdha is there, you have to go through that prarabdha. But you are then in a state where you realize that, yes, this is something I have to go through, no problem. But you're not getting caught up with it.
Yeah, that I agree.
Right?
See, yeah, that point is fine, wherein a realized person also has to go through and complete his prarabdha, which is what is that little Maya element, because
Correct.
prarabdha, karma, and all that is Maya, it belongs to Maya. So that part, yes, no doubt. But they are not affected by, they have to go through it, yes. That is certain.
No, the question was here, what about the jnana? Can the ignorance they'll get the ignorance again, or they will stay jnani permanently? That was the question actually.
No, so
they will go through.
So this is like, Mrinalji, any subject we get knowledge, that knowledge doesn't go away, right? Whether it is physics or chemistry or whatever, you have gained knowledge, that knowledge is there. That knowledge doesn't go away. Here, if you have got self-knowledge, that knowledge is there. It doesn't go away. So that is there. How established you are in that knowledge is what determines, okay, you're permanently in that state of moksha or...
No, when you have light, it is not like little light, too much light. No, there is light. That's it. There is illumination.
And what happens after death? I mean, okay, when you are in this Jagat, Maya might trouble you. But once you are once you're away from this body, what happens to that moksha? Who has got the moksha person?
Then no janma again. That's it.
Yeah,
That's the
no
whole.
Janma.
Yes.
Because,
No punarapi janana, punarapi marana is gone. That's what ultimately the end result of moksha is.
right. Because his prarabdha anyway is finished. That is why he's left his mortal body. And his whatever sanchita is remaining, that is like how Swami
I think
Suryapada
that is
mentioned.
again the darkness which has been illuminated by light. So even that doesn't bother, I think.
Yeah, that gets
Burnt away.
detached completely. It gets burnt away, exactly.
Hmm.
Jai Gurudev, here I want to share small thing, just 1 minute. There is one very senior teacher, Ramesh Menanji, in Mumbai, and he is one of the non-stop. His big courses he is very famous for, and since last many years he is on dialysis. And then he went to Gurudev and said कि गुरुदेव अब मुझसे सहन नहीं होता, अब छोड़ दो मुझे, I want to leave the body now. तो गुरुदेव said कि नहीं नहीं अभी तो तुझे बहुत you have to go through lot of बहुत अभी पीड़ा सहनी है. And then he was crying and then Prasanna Prabhu came and he said, Tera, what is that you are lacking this moment? You are happily you are going, doing your dialysis, you are continuing, you are living alone, doing everything. Look at other people who are on dialysis. So this is the grace of the, he will have to complete his all prarabdha, which what Gurudev can do is, he will make it comfortable for you to go through. But you will have to go through it. You cannot just leave the body without completing your prarabdha. But at the same time, you will not, suffering is your option. Pain will be there. So joyfully, he is conducting the programs also. He is living alone, cooking, and joyfully going to the hospital, doing his dialysis, coming back. So this is what that difference it makes when you have the living master in your life. This he was sharing, so I just wanted. I thought this is more relevant this moment. Jai Gurudev.
Yeah. Shall I continue? Just another 5 minutes. Is moksha removal of dukkhas by the Lord's grace? Accepting that moksha is not created but is already accomplished, perhaps we can say that the grace of Ishvara destroys dukkha. Moksha, after all, is freedom from the undesirable, and any form of pain is undesirable. This is also invalid. If you are inherently imperfect, Ishvara has to rid you of that imperfection and give you some beatitude. Your suffering is removed because of Ishvara's grace. But Atma is already Ananda Swarupa. Does the destruction of sorrow take place in Anatma or in Atma? If the nature of Atma is dukkha, how are you going to destroy that without destroying Atma? If dukkha is not the Swarupa of Atma, there is no sorrow there to destroy. Atma is Ananda. You cannot say that because of its association with the mind, etc., Atma becomes dukkhi. If it is asanga, how can it ever be attached to anything, much less gather anything to itself? So, to say that the grace of Ishvara destroys dukkha is also without foundation. Ishvara Anugraha is meant for jnana. That is what is established here. There are situations that can produce a particular vritti, because of which there can be sukha. But dukkha is purely born of aviveka. Provisionally, we can accept it as a property of the mind, manodharma, but it does not belong to Atma. So what Swamiji is mentioning here is that since the Swarupa of Atma is Ananda, so freedom from dukkha is that I'm just going to read this one paragraph again. Accepting that moksha is not created by, but is already accomplished, perhaps we can say that the grace of Ishvara destroys dukkha. The question here is moksha removal of dukkhas by the Lord's grace? Moksha, after all, is freedom from the undesirable, and any form of pain is undesirable. This is also invalid. So what is invalid is that the moksha is not created by Ishvara destroying dukkha. That is what is invalid. If you are inherently imperfect, Ishvara has to rid you of that imperfection and give you some beatitude. Your suffering is removed because of Ishvara's grace. But Atma is already Ananda Swarupa. Does the destruction of sorrow take place in Anatma or in Atma? If the nature of Atma is dukkha, how are you going to destroy that without destroying Atma? If dukkha is not the Swarupa of Atma, then there is no sorrow there to destroy. Atma is Ananda. You cannot say that because of its association with the mind, etc., Atma becomes dukkhi. If it is asanga, how can it ever be attached to anything, much less gather anything to itself? So, to say that the grace of Ishvara destroys dukkha is also without foundation. So, Swamiji is actually shattering all these concepts. Ishvaranugraha is meant for jnana. So what he is establishing here is the Ishvara Anugraha. The grace is only for jnana. Because the fact that you're a dukhi is because of aviveka, because of ignorance. So what that grace does, the Ishvara Anugraha, it only removes that ajnana, and therefore it seemingly seems as if he's destroying dukkha. It is not so much for dukkha, but it is to bring in jnana. Isn't that what Swamiji is meaning here?
Yes,
Because,
absolutely.
isn't it? There are situations that can produce a particular vritti, because of which there can be sukha. But dukkha is purely born of aviveka.
No, no. Okay, maybe. Dukkha is at the level of the body and mind, not in the Atma. Dukkha or Sukha, both.
Correct.
Correct? So,
Correct.
that knowledge of that, and not just knowledge intellectually, is what will come by Ishvara Anugraha. Right? Atma doesn't need, Atma is not Dukhi. So there is
Correct.
nothing like praying to God to save your Atma from the Atma is Ananda Swarupa, anyways, right? So the knowledge that the dukkha that I am going through is at the level of the body and mind, and it's not me. I am not dukhi. Body is having some pain, aches, mind is agitated or whatever. These are all not me. That realization at a very experiential level will happen by Ishvara Anugraha. is how I interpreted it.
Yeah. That's what it is. No, correct. What you said is right. That is what is meant by this paragraph that Swamiji is mentioning. Ishvara is not destroying, his grace is not destroying the dukkha. So the grace of Ishvara destroys dukkha is also without foundation, he's saying.
Correct.
So it is not just to destroy dukkha. Dukkha happens as a side effect, as an after effect of Ishvaranugraha, because with Ishvaranugraha, that creates the space for jnana to happen. And once that jnana is there, then that atma anatma viveka comes in, then there is no dukkha.
No, I feel the knowledge here is there is dukkha at bodily level, and it is not at the atma level. There won't be removal of any pain as such.
Yeah, okay, what we call dukkha, maybe that is the meaning of that word. Yeah, the pain is there, suffering is not there. Suffering is, you won't, today what happens because of the pain, there is suffering also, right?
Yes, yes.
That sorrow, that probably will not be there because jnana is there. Yes, body has to go through what it has to go through, that is its prarabdha. So with that realization, you might not say I am suffering. Yes, that body has some pain. This is how maybe eventually our vocabulary also has to become that, yes, body is having ache and pain. Yeah, my mind is a little restless. Like that, it is all slowly we detach
Yeah,
our
instead
real
of
I.
my mind, must say the mind.
Huh?
If you listen to what is his name, Ganapati Sachidananda, I happened to watch one of his things sometime back. He does not say me, mine. He says this body. And they talk of Purva Paksha, not Purva Paksha, they call it Purva.
Mimamsa, no? Purva
No,
Mimamsa.
not Purva Mimamsa. That is before the dawn of knowledge. They call them in my not Purva Janma also. I'm not getting the actual term. It means that in this life only, before knowledge, before knowledge could dawn, whatever they were in that. Let me get that term. Ah, um, Purvabhyasa. No. So he talks of even his speech is like that. There is no I minus there when he speaks. This body, this mind.
There is a difference, my body, my mind, isn't it?
That is what Swami Suryapada ji mentioned. Charana mentioned in the beginning, if you remember. He said the way we inculcate right from the beginning, we tell our children, you eat your breakfast, you take your bag. We instill this your, me, my mind so much. Instead of just saying, come have breakfast, you can just say, come have breakfast. Why we include that your? And take care of your belongings. So you're creating so much of mamakara there, unknowingly, subconsciously, that is so rooted in our system. And we end
Ahankara
up.
and mamakara, right?
Hmm?
Ahankara and mamakara was something he
Yeah,
kept, I, me, mine.
yeah,
So henceforth, we could say, my body is in pain, but I am Ananda Swarupa.
yeah. This
Suffering
body.
is your choice. Suffering is your choice.
So there are situations that can produce a particular vritti because of which there can be sukha. But dukkha is purely born of aviveka. Provisionally, we can accept it as a property of the mind. manodharma, but it does not belong to Atma. Nice.
Jai Gurudev, just one thing came into my mind. Pleasure and pain, both of them are actually just the sensations. So for some sensations, we say it is pleasurable sensations, and for some sensations, we say it is painful. And to understand more clearly and deeply into it, this with meditation in motion we do know. There, Gurudev always says that pain and pleasure, all of them are just the sensations. You name it as pleasurable or painful. That is why that meditation becomes very important, to distance yourself from all kinds of sensations.
Yeah, nice. So we'll continue. Does the Lord give some kind of beatitude from tomorrow? Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sarvam Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Jai Gurudev.